Why are so many Canadians leaving Canada? It's a question on a lot of people's minds lately, and the numbers don't lie. More people are considering life outside the Poutine Palace than ever before. My name is Morgan Little. I'm a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area. I did a video about the 7 reasons why Canadians want to leave Canada about a year ago, and it got a ton of response. So I thought I'd revisit the subject in a 2.0 video because things haven't really gotten better in terms of our leadership, the high cost of living, and the overall quality of life for a Canadian. With an election coming up in fall 2025, this kind of stuff is going to be on people's minds more and more. So let's strap on our boots, boys, and take a deep dive into the real reasons why Canadians are looking to make a fresh start elsewhere in 2025. One of the biggest reasons people are leaving Canada is the economy. This won't come as a surprise right now. Canadians are feeling the squeeze with the cost of living at an all-time high. Groceries, rent, gas, it's all gone up significantly, and wages just haven't kept pace. In many parts of the country, it feels like it's getting harder and harder just to make ends meet. I'm part of multiple community Facebook groups, and recently I saw someone make a post talking about leave a comment for something you need, and maybe somebody else in the group has that thing and you can match together. And the amount of comments of what people need was overwhelming. A lot of people need simple everyday things that we may take for granted, including just food for their kids. It's gotten really tough for some people out there. Just going to the grocery store can be really disheartening when you see the prices of things these days. And this can be seen in every park and green space where tent cities have become the norm in pretty much every city across the country. Food banks in Canada have seen a 90% increase from 2019, putting a strain on an already stretched system. The Bank of Canada has tried to control inflation with a series of aggressive interest rate hikes over the past year, but that's come with its own set of problems. People with variable rate mortgages are struggling to keep up with monthly payments that are much higher than they expected. Many Canadians, especially young families and retirees on fixed incomes, are finding it increasingly tough to save, let alone afford the basics. With a federal government led by Prime Minister Justin Trudeau that seems committed to high levels of spending, many Canadians feel that the national debt and deficits are only going to get worse. And that means more tax burdens in the future. Taxes that everyday Canadians may feel they just can't afford. Next is the housing crisis. Housing remains one of the most pressing issues. Despite much posturing, the government has failed to have made any real impact on the much needed increase in housing supply, and the average home price is still far out of reach for the average Canadian. The average price across the country of Canada remains around $700,000, and in cities like Toronto and Vancouver, it's well over $1 million. Even in historically more affordable areas like Hamilton, prices have spiked. I've spoken about this in other videos as I made the move to Hamilton recently, and even though the houses in my neighborhood are considered more affordable, they've doubled in the last 5 years. Affordability and home ownership seems like a dream that keeps getting pushed further and further out of reach for people. Younger Canadians who wish to own a home someday are looking abroad where their money can stretch further, places where they can actually imagine having a house and not just a tiny condo. The amount of comments I get from people on my videos saying, "I'll just never be able to afford a home in this country," has been steadily increasing. Quality of life concerns. The promise of a high quality of life is one of the key reasons why people choose Canada, and what we as Canadians became accustomed to growing up. But recently there's been growing dissatisfaction. If I had a dime for every time I heard this isn't the Canada I grew up in, I'd be a rich man. Healthcare, for instance, is one of Canada's pride points, yet the system is struggling desperately to keep up. Emergency room wait times are growing increasingly longer, finding a family doctor is very challenging in certain areas, and elective surgeries are often just delayed. Many people are feeling left behind, and if you don't or can't or have somebody advocate for yourself in the healthcare system, you'll feel left behind as well. It's a system that Canadians pay for through high taxes, but some feel the value isn't matching the cost. Many Canadians are also noticing a decline in public safety, especially in major cities. The rise of home invasions and carjackings in the GTA is leaving people who used to be able to say, "I can leave my house without locking the door," not even feeling safe when they're in their home. Meanwhile, the perpetrators have no fear because of the lack of repercussions from our judicial system. If they get caught, they get out the next day and have no qualms to go and do it again. And now we have these culture wars spilling out into the streets with immigrants brandishing weapons that if I were walking around and hitting another citizen with, I'd be tased and arrested on the spot. But because we've become so sensitive to the out of control immigration that is propping up our economy and preventing preventing us from plummeting into a major recession, the police seem to feel like they have their hands tied, and they're standing by while these violent confrontations erupt in our streets. And don't get me wrong, Canada is still much safer than many other countries. The change is palpable. For those considering a move, countries with similarly high quality of life rankings like Portugal or New Zealand are starting to look like attractive alternatives. High taxes and political frustrations. Canada's tax rates are some of the highest in North America. And with increasing economic pressures, many Canadians feel like they're not getting a fair return on what they pay. The recent federal budget has raised concerns that taxes might go up even more. For some, the idea of paying such high taxes while feeling like they're falling further behind financially is frustrating to say the least. On top of that, there's a sense of political fatigue. Under Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, the country has seen increased spending, mounting debt, and policies that some Canadians feel are out of touch with their day-to-day concerns. For those who feel disconnected from the current government's priorities, relocating is a way to find political climate that aligns more closely with their values. Though it seems like an inevitable change is coming in the fall of 2025 with the scheduled election, where the polarizing conservative leader Pierre Poilievre looks to be a shoo-in, as not only the majority of the Canadian public but also members of Trudeau's own Liberal Party have voiced their displeasure with the Prime Minister's performance over the last 9 years in office. Climate and lifestyle. Canada's long, harsh winters have always been a challenge, and for many Canadians, it's becoming one they no longer wish to endure. Spending months in freezing temperatures, paying high heating costs, and dealing with the effects of seasonal depression have led some to consider warmer countries like Costa Rica, Mexico, or even the southern US, where the sunshine is plentiful and the pace of life can be more relaxed. For digital nomads or retirees, the ability to work or enjoy retirement from anywhere has opened up the options. With countries like Portugal and Spain offering attractive residency options for foreigners, some Canadians are choosing a new climate and lifestyle abroad. I can personally think of about 10 different people who have left Canada for countries like Mexico, Portugal, and other European countries. These countries are just offering something that Canada is struggling to provide right now: affordable living, attractive climates, and in some cases more manageable taxes. Census says that 126,340 people left Canada for the US in 2022, a 70% increase over a decade ago, according to this CBC article. So is Canada still a good place to live? Despite all these challenges, it's important to remember Canada is still a great place to live with a lot to offer. It has beautiful landscapes and a multicultural society, and still ranks among the top countries globally for quality of life, even though it may not always feel like it. And though Trudeau has done a number on us, like I mentioned, change is coming. Some are heralding Poilievre as some sort of savior, while many others compare him to Trump. Whether he can turn things around for Canada remains to be seen, but he can't do much worse, right? For many, the values and opportunities Canada offers far outweigh the issues we've discussed. However, for others, particularly those feeling the financial and lifestyle pressures that we've mentioned, the idea of leaving Canada in 2025 is that much more appealing. But is leaving the right choice for you? Leaving Canada is a big decision and not one to be taken lightly. I know many people who have left Canada, gone to other countries, only to realize that they don't have quite the same comforts of home that they're used to. So just know, if you're feeling frustrated or overwhelmed by the current state of life here, you're not alone. But before making any real decisions, weigh the pros and cons. Think about what matters most to you. Is it family, financial security, climate, quality of life? You have to make this decision. Every country has its ups and downs, and while Canada might not feel like the dream that it once was, it's still home for millions of people who love it. If you're thinking about making a move or have further thoughts about what's driving this trend, let's keep the conversation going below in the comments. I can't wait to hear them. Thank you for watching. Again, if there's ever anything I can do to help in your journey, feel free to book a call using the Calendly link in the description below, or just simply shoot me a text and I'm happy to have a chat. And be sure to subscribe for more videos like this. Till then, I'll see you on the next one.